Music gives you wings to fly. We've heard it all. But to put it simply, and this is the emphasis of this class, is that we understand music is a language. And just like every language we learn, let's say we learn English. What was the first approach to learning English in kindergarten? ABC. So there's an alphabet to English, right? So here we have the ABCs. Our first day in kindergarten, we learned our ABC. What did we have to do with our ABC? First, learn them, learn the order, right? A, then after A comes B, and after B comes C, and so forth. After we've learned their order, also we had to learn how they sound, right? Sound them out. And then after that, then we moved on. After ABCs, we moved on to the words, right? We start with the small words, cat, rat, bat, whatever it may be. And what do we do with those words? We have to learn how to pronounce them, how to say them. After we pronounce them, we have to also learn their definition, right? What they mean. And there's parts of speech. Parts of speech. Are they a pronoun, adverb, adjective, whatever they are? And these are things we have to learn first before we move on to another grade, before we move on to something else in this thing called language, in this thing called English. So there is a progress that needs to be made. There's things that we need to learn, and the first thing needs to be learned first before we can move on to bigger things like sentences and paragraphs and reading books, right? Imagine we showed up to class and say, all right, and the teacher says, all right, class, we're going to learn English. Please turn to chapter 14. How do you think that's going to go? You're going to have a hard time, right? So we start from basics. After we've learned words, we've understand their definition and what they mean and how to use them, then we throw them into sentences. We start forming sentences, right? So we understand the sentences based on the word, and from that word, we were able to form words from the ABC. So you see how this is progressing? And after the sentences, we were able to put them together and form paragraphs, even books, literature. We can read things and make sense of it. That's where we understand context. And from then on, we are fluent in the language, right? We can contribute to discussions, we can express opinions, we can articulate ourselves, we can support or we can debate a point being made. If I see a group of guys having a conversation over there, I can overhear, and because I'm fluent and I understand the language, I can tell the subject of that discussion, and I can even give my point of view because I understand the language. Now, this is a music class. It's not an English class, right? And this is the lack and the deficiency from musicians that I see, that I have come in contact with, that I personally know, that I grew up with as a kid, and they're still the same place because those musicians have musically now started learning sentences, not the ABC, not the words, or they've been given a whole song. Here, we're going to learn a song. In other words, we're going to learn a paragraph. We're going to learn a book. We're going to read this chapter today, and they have no clue how the ABCs goes. Words that they've perhaps never heard before, right? The basics of the language needs to be learned first. The fundamentals, the foundation needs to be laid first. And that's the right way of learning any language. Now, back to music. What is music? It is a language. Just like English, music also has a alphabet. So music also have an alphabet, and I'll introduce that to you again. So we have the ABC, which I also refer to as the roadmap. From the roadmap, we're going to start formulating scales, which is equivalent to words, right? In the English, when we're learning English, the language, we have words. Similarly, we learn scales. And then English, we have sentences. In music, we have progressions. In English, we have paragraphs and so on. In music, we have songs. And this, especially church musicians, this is where they start. Oh, brother, you have a passion to learn guitar? Here's a song. Right? And guess what? Because we're so song-based in church, which isn't wrong. Our job is to play songs. We got to learn songs and we got to play them. But without the right foundation being laid, that person is stuck learning songs and only those songs. And for that reason, I've made the reference. Think of a foreigner or you in a foreign country that doesn't speak your language. You have to use a translating dictionary, right? Well, nowadays we have Google Translate. But imagine everything you need to say, you have to refer to paper, somewhere, something, some kind of tool for you to speak and to express yourself and to even ask where's the nearest restaurant. The purpose of this course is to teach you how to be independent musicians. So from the time you hear a song, music, a conversation happening, you are able to make a distinction. You have a clear understanding of the key, the rhythm pattern, the style, the dynamics, whatever it may be, musically speaking, because you understand the language fluently. I'm not going to just give you a song and learn these chords and next week we're going to jam out. Very far from that. We are very far from that. We're going to make sure that our first day in class, we get our ABCs correct. We have a strong foundation laid. Those same musicians that have first been introduced to songs, guess what? They still have their translation dictionary every Sunday. They have a paper in front of them with the notes of that song. They cannot play those songs that they've been playing for years without that paper because they're not independent musicians. The purpose of this course is to prepare you to play and to be musicians, but to be independent. You don't have to rely on looking up and doing research. Because you understand the language, you can be able to contribute and take part in what's happening. You may be late and the song already started. As soon as you go up there in an instrument, you're able to identify the key, identify the progression, the movement within what's happening. Why? Because you have a strong foundation laid in the language of music. And after we've done all of this, check, now we're up to songs. Now you're able, this is where the enjoyment of music is. Music is an art. I can tell you that. The only time you'll be able to enjoy music as an art is when you understand the language. Now, because it's an art, that's where your creativity comes alive. That is where your musicianship is really expressed. I can play sad, I can play happy, I can play whatever the mood may be because you understand. Everything that a musician plays on their instrument is a musical statement, right? Because it's a language. Everybody's with me so far? Any questions? What's the easiest way of remembering it? It's your alphabet, right? So an easy way of remembering it is your alphabet from A to, louder? Very good. A to G, right? And as we've discussed, we have C. After C is C sharp, D, D sharp, E. Notice E does not have a sharp, so after E we go straight to F. After F is F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, and B. After B, we go straight to C because B does not have a sharp, right? This does not change. The first day that we were in our kindergarten class, when we were presented the ABC, that hasn't changed from day one, right? The next day we showed up to class, it didn't start with C. It didn't start with Z. It started with the way it was given to us. We didn't question it. We didn't rearrange it. We learned it, and from then on, we were able to progress in learning the language until we are fluent in it. Everybody's with me so far? Excellent. So let's talk about flats. Let's say we have D, right? And going up to the next note is D sharp. Let's go back to D, going down a half step. This is not only C sharp, but it can also be called D flat. Going down this way is flat. You're going down flat. Going up this way, you're going up sharp. Now let me demonstrate. This is on paper. This is on the blackboard. On the instrument, how do we translate this? First of all, let's start from basics. Let's make believe this is not a musical instrument. All right? Nobody is a musician in the room. This is a machine. It has buttons. You press the buttons and they make different sounds. All right? Now, this machine, visually looking at it, we have 2 black buttons here. Then we got 3 black buttons. 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. Right? That's a pattern. Anytime you see the 2 black button, the white one right before it is C. Okay? That's the reason I refer to the music alphabet as the roadmap. Let that be your roadmap. So, remember going sharp and flat? Listen to what happens as I go up sharp. Notes are going up. Coming back down? Going down, right? You're not wrong. So, these are the low buttons, and these are the high buttons. And they have names. So let's go again. This is C. If you go into a mall or some music store and they have a piano here, you can say, hey, everybody gather around. I know where C is. Okay? You're not wrong. This doesn't change from piano to piano. Now, because this is C, let's go up. Follow your roadmap. Let's talk about, before moving forward, let's talk about, hold this for a sec. Let's talk about one vocabulary. Interval. Interval is the musical term for distance. 2 distance we're going to talk about is half step and whole step. Let's say you're on D, and I want to go up half step. Half step, I'm going directly to the next note up, which is going to be D sharp. Okay, let's go back down to D. I want to go up a whole step. That means this is going to be a bigger jump, a bigger distance. That means I'm going to skip this note. So here I am right now. I want to go a whole step up. I'm going to skip that D sharp and I land on E. Okay, let's go back down to D. I want to go down a half step. So a half step means a shorter distance. So the immediate next note is C sharp. Okay, everybody's with me so far? Let's go back to D, and this time I want to go a whole step down. So I want to skip that C sharp and go down a whole step. That gives me C. So an easy way to remember this is, do I skip or not skip? Everybody clear? A more formal term for half step, whole step is semitone and whole tone. Same thing it means, but let's use half and whole. It's easier to understand. Now, let me quiz you guys. So I'm on G. Radwan, I want to go up. And remember, the key term you want to listen for, what direction are we going in? Up or down, right? That will tell you where we're going first. So we're on G, and we want to go up a whole step. Where do I go? Correct. See what he did? He jumped over that G sharp, and we're landing on A. Okay, Diane, we are on A. We want to go down a half step. What button am I landing on? Correct. So, pair, I'm on G sharp. I want to go down a whole step. Yeah, I'm on G sharp. F sharp, correct. Let me make this point. Don't look at this and say, hey guys, this song is going to be in D, but you meant D sharp. D and D sharp is two completely different notes. Okay? You gotta mention if it's a sharp or a natural. If it doesn't have a flat or a sharp, we call it a natural. But nobody says natural nowadays. It's just D. If you didn't say anything at the end of D, whether if it's a sharp or a flat, it's D. Natural, right? All right. Lloyd, I'm on D. I want to go up a half step. Up a half step. Correct. So, Steve, I'm on D sharp. I want to go down a whole step. Correct. Right? C, going up a whole step. Whole step. Correct. So, yeah, that's Benka. I'm on G and I want to go down a whole step. Correct, because I skipped the F sharp. So that's it. Back to the piano. So we know how it's written on paper, and now we're gonna get familiarized with how it's written musically on the actual instrument. Yeah.
That's always one backwards.
So say it slow so we can follow you. Say you're on F. D flat.
Anything flat.
Correct. Correct. So that's what I said. Yeah. Listen to the direction, and that tells you where we're going, right? So D flat. D flat. This is D natural. D flat would be this C sharp. So let's start back on C. We're on C. This half step up is, follow your roadmap. Right, that doesn't change. And then half step up, this is D. Half step up is, and half step up is E. E, right? This is D sharp. And after D sharp is E, right? Now, because E doesn't have a sharp, see how it's like, it looks like it's missing a tooth space here? Because this is E and E doesn't have a sharp. Missing button here. Defective piano, no. So, let's continue. So, E, then we go straight to F because E doesn't have a sharp. So this is, I'm sorry. Yeah. So, F, and then half step up is? Correct. You tell me, half step up is? G. Half step up from G is? Because G has a sharp, correct. And a half step up from G is? A. And then half step from A is? And half step from B is? B has a sharp? Look at that space. Missing tooth, right? So, and it follows and continues like that. Again, if this piano had the length from here all the way down to the end of the street, it's those same buttons, same notes that repeats itself over and over again. So for homework, piano players, I want you to get familiar with that. Even if you don't have a piano yet, Google an image of it. Look at a picture or download the app of a piano and mess around with the buttons. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. And the white buttons are the naturals. Good question, Lloyd. Yeah, sharps and flats. Depends what direction, and that determines what we're calling it. Are you ready with me so far? Yeah, you'll get familiar with it. So we're learning the ABC, and we're gonna have questions. We're gonna have questions after B as well. C, right? And an easy way of remembering this is it's your alphabet, A through G. Everything gets a sharp except for that will not change. If you memorize that, stamp that in your brain, that will not change. It's a good start if you memorize that.